This has been taped up really good, so I don't believe that this driver is in any need of rescuing. Okay, so I was out of windshield washer fluid, so I went ahead and took care of that. I don't know, there's a really good chance that what happened here was an empty-ish truck. Oh yeah. There's a really good chance that happened earlier today. I didn't see that this morning. So you have another one off. It looks like. I think this is an actual honest to gosh wind storm. Is. I didn't hit this part of the road this morning, but it's really pretty heavy. I turned off just up here a few miles. Alrighty, good morning. Here it is, February 21st. I am on Highway 14. I believe I'm in Jackson County. We are looking at the state forest range that is up northeast of Walden. And I had a thought that it might be kind of fun to highlight the county roads that make this little crossing from this area a couple miles up here on County Road 28 all the way over to Gould, to just get those county roads, just get that whole little route. So that's what I'm considering doing. Let's see if my camera decides to behave. Oh, behave, camera. And we'll see how that goes. But it's pretty this morning. It is the 21st of February. It is 7:33 a.m. And I have already driven about 82 miles. So we're getting over to our winter turnoff. In the summer, I turn off about a mile behind where we are right now, and I go over to Seymour Reservoir, which you don't know where that's at. I have filmed that, but it hasn't made the cut. Wow, that's pretty interesting. The clouds are looking pretty crazy. Let me see if I can do this without. I have to point this camera this way, and I've got cars coming. But look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, that's all you get. I have to get back on my side of the road. It's like an inverted cone. There's a lot of wind, but it looks like maybe they're already getting some snow up on the Zirkles. That was what we just looked at. Just looked at the Zirkles. So wanted you to get to see that. And in a moment, we're going to get a look at the mountains, the tall mountains of the state forest range. They'll be coming into view here shortly. Well, let me turn the corner. Today we're supposed to get a storm. There's a winter storm warning out for this afternoon. So I got on the road early. I hope I can beat the storm, at least not have to deal with it up on Rabbit Ears. I might get it between Steamboat and Craig, and I have seen it pretty bad between Steamboat and Craig. I have seen it, I mean, visibility easily is bad. I may not be able to stop. Okay, we'll do it this way. This is so slippery, folks. It is slippery. This road has gotten pummeled with wind. I think that this is all wind that has blown on here, and it is, as you can see, really slippery. So, oh yeah, look at that. I mean, that's exceptionally slippery. Oh, so we're going to be into the sun here, I hope. That it isn't. How shall we get that hell off the bumps in a road? That may be impossible. This road is you can see it was pretty muddy. It's froze right, so we like that. I just thought it would be nice to show you the shortcut. And when I say shortcut, I mean not going through Walden. However, I don't think by the time you get up to Walden that you're going to be saving much time. You might be saving a few miles, but I like going through Walden also. So even though this is known as a shortcut to the Front Range, oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, look at this. This is just icy covered. Now, the snowplows don't work this road at night, so we might have a few of these things. I hope you can see the mountains. They're really pretty. It looks like they're certainly getting some. Well, I can't tell if they're getting snow or if they're just clouds hanging out up there. I've got to wonder if they maybe didn't get some rain here yesterday. Interesting road condition. I may even decide that I don't want to risk it, but we'll see. Yeah, this snow is mainly just wind blown. Now, this is a year where there are some pretty gigantic drifts. Highway 40 was shut down last week. West of Craig, there were gigantic snow drifts shutting the roads down. And Highway 40 west of Craig is an isolated area. Let me tell you, when you're out there, you're out in the hills. You're out in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful place. I love it out there. Beautiful spot. But there's the great description of it is you're in the middle of nowhere, because there are no services, there are no towns. There are roads and there are people, but they're far and few between. The people. There are a lot of roads. And it gets pretty nasty. So I've been watching my sister's channel. I talked about her channel a couple weeks ago, and picked on her a little bit, and maybe this doesn't look so good. Let's see if I can get around the corner. Ah, there we go. Conditions are rough today. So I picked on her about cussing for no reason, and that's actually not true. Well, mostly not true. She mostly has a reason to cuss, I think. Mostly. But if you haven't watched any of her videos, and you like these kinds of videos, you might like what she does. She hauls horse trailers around down in Oklahoma and Texas, and anywhere really, but that's her main work area is Oklahoma and Texas. So you might check out her channel, which is called Woman at the Wheel, and it's not a feminist statement. It's just the title of her channel. She is as conservative, or maybe more conservative than I am. So don't read anything into that. Can we get through this? Yay! It's always nice to get through a pretty hefty snowdrift. I think that this road was wet yesterday. That in the evening the snow was blowing across it and froze into ice, and then when it got so cold it quit making ice because the water had all frozen. I'm going to take a break here. There's some bathroom facilities handy, and I'm going to go use them. So on my trips to Laramie, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I acquire a cough after sitting in this car for 3 or 4 hours, 4.5, whatever it is. So I thought about that. I decided that there's something in this car that has been irritating me, making me cough, but I hadn't noticed it until the last few weeks. So I thought about what it might be and how I use the car, And I get in this car when it's really cold. I'm always walking in snow. When I get in this car, I always have snow on my shoes. A lot of times I'll stop and I'll kick my feet before I bring them inside the car. But there's always a little bit of snow on my shoes, always. I can never not have snow on my shoes. So in the winter, especially this winter, as you can see, the snow's making its presence known everywhere. I think that what's been happening is that the snow melts when the car warms up and the car stays warm for quite a while. I think that there was some mold in here from who knows when. This car was an Oklahoma car for a while. It sat for quite a while. It was in an Oklahoma warm environment, not being used for a while. So I'm thinking that there's a good chance that it ended up getting some mold growing in it. I got back from Laramie, and well, in the next few days, I came out to the car, I cleaned it up, vacuumed it really good, and I brought some boric acid powder out, and I spread powder on all the carpeting that gets wet. And then I talked to my brother-in-law, Bill, and he asked me if I'd check to see if this car has cabin air filters, for the heating system. I told him I don't think that it does, but anyway, he poked around and proved me wrong, which was great. This car does have cabin air filters. Well, it has a space for them. So I found out about that and took a look at them a couple days ago. There were no filters in the area where there should have been, so they either were never installed or somebody took them out when they were dirty and never replaced them. I'm not sure why. So I got my vacuum cleaner and I cleaned out the cavity that should have had filters in it. It was full of leaves and, typical junk that you find, that blows into your heating system. So no surprise, but I did clean that out. And then I took a teaspoon of boric acid powder and I kind of chucked it in there, knowing that it was dry, so when I turned the heater on, it would blow this boric acid powder around. Then I turned the heater on and ran it for a little bit. What I didn't catch was that the boric acid powder blew out all over all of the windows and coated the windows, especially the windshield, with a fine layer of dust. I just wiped that off there, so I've been filming through this fine layer of dust. You probably won't catch it unless I have a couple shots where we're looking directly at the sun. That shows the imperfections of the windshield and how dirty it is quite nicely. This is definitely one of those roads you would want to be on in the afternoon. This road is going to warm up today, if it gets warm today, and turn into slop. So while these dirt roads are great when it's really cold, they're fine when it's, summer conditions. When they're in between and they're really muddy, well, they're muddy. They're not a lot of fun to drive on. Well, this is pretty cool looking to see how the road froze. That's what had to happen yesterday. The weather was warm. As it cooled off, the blowing snow, which was which was melting, started turning to ice on this road and coated the road, and a lot of it, yeah, we've seen it. So today we'll find out if I get up into Laramie and I'm coughing, then either I didn't do a good enough job of demolding, or it's something else. It could be plastic. It could be something else. I really don't know. Just for your information, we are heading due east. To our southeast is Rocky Mountain National Park, and to the northeast is the Forest Range. And beyond those mountains, it's Laramie River Valley, and then it goes to a high plateau. It goes to, I think, a little town called Red Feather Lakes. I don't know if that's a town or if that's actually lakes. I don't know. I've been through there, but it's been a while. It's been a while back. That's a neat area too, as far as geologically, because there are apparently some kimberlite pipes up there. And there was a gold mine up north of Fort Collins. May still be. Kelsey? I think you're right. For some reason, the Kelsey mine comes to mind. Kelsey mine. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh yeah. Interesting story about another diamond area. Not so sure if there are actually diamonds out there, but there were diamonds out there at one time. In Browns Park, there was a big hoax that was perpetrated on at the time, the globalists at the time, because globalists are so discerning, right? They don't fall for anything. Like, they don't fall for global warming. They don't fall for the extinction theory. No, they're just intelligent. They don't fall for anything. Well, except for damn near everything, including the global warming hoax, the extinction theory, and communism. And probably some other crap. So, there was a couple guys bought some gemstones, took him out to northwest Colorado, north of Browns Park, onto the north side of a mountain called Diamond Peak, which, by the way, incidentally, is actually underlain with material that's known to have diamonds in it. And there are actually some pipes out in Wyoming that they are known. That type of pipe is known, that type of rock is known to be diamond bearing in some areas. Now, that's not to say that it is. Now we are turning onto County Road 125, or Highway 125. I get this wrong, we're going into Rand. So a 4-mile jaunt on this road. So these guys went out to the north flanks of Diamond Peak, and they scattered these gemstones everywhere. All different kinds of gemstones, diamonds, rubies, whatever. Then they left. They went to San Francisco. Why would they go to San Francisco? Well, obviously not because you could dupe the globalists at the time that lived in San Francisco. No way. Those people were educated, smart people. They would not fall for any kind of bullshit. Well, except for the bullshit they fall for. So they spread the story around of their fantastic find in San Francisco, and got the attention of the entire world. All of the globalists, all of them, all of the big name globalists were interested in this mine and wanted to invest. All of the big names at the time invested in this mine. These guys made a bunch of money, and then I think they disappeared. So the year after that, there were people out there, and they were finding diamonds, whatever. Well, I believe it was an engineer by the name of Hayden, and I think Hayden, Colorado, could be named after this engineer. I'm not sure about that. Ferdinand Hayden, I don't know. He was, I think, working for Union Pacific. Maybe they were looking for more hot springs to destroy. Like, steamboat springs, hot springs. They were actually plotting the railroad, doing work on, railroad work up north. So they came down from Rock Springs. That was where they were at, in that area. And they did a survey of that area, and they sieved a bunch of the gemstones, and they found a semi-cut diamond. So it was a diamond some probably 5-year-old kid was cutting, and it broke, cracked or something, and so they just threw it away. And that was in with the bag of gemstones. They were supposed to be rough stones, but there you go. Buyer beware. So these two guys were busted for doing what this. They made a huge amount of money. I think one guy was caught. I don't think the money was ever recovered. I think the other guy was not caught. I know where this area is. When we first moved up here, you could go up to this area and you could see the piles where they had sieved all these diamonds. However, a very shady geologist from Wyoming, Dan Hausel, went up there and sieved all those piles himself, reported about this area, basically stripped it, right? I don't like the guy. I think the guy is a shyster. But now we are now in Rand, beautiful little town of Rand. And we are now going to go on the sister road of 2827, which starts right here. And it will take us around this mountain that we're looking at. I'll point you out to it. That mountain in front of us is Owl Mountain. We're going to go around the southern flank of Owl Mountain. And we won't go into Gould, but we will catch the highway 14 to get in, and that will be our, if we were going to the Front Range, we would continue on to Gould. So there's how you get around that lady's snow skiing, cross-country skiing. So Dan Hausel went out there, this geologist, basically destroyed what, in my opinion, would have been a historic property by sieving all these piles down to nothing. And then he put misleading pictures of the area so people couldn't find it. I mean, the guy, that was a dirtbag thing for that guy to do. It was ridiculous. I don't know why he was concerned with hiding his location after he had basically destroyed any of the historical, evidence, and probably picked up the rest of the diamonds that he probably found all of the diamonds that the guys a century ago didn't find. So after now picking on him, our family went out, several of us, camped out there, and we reworked the remains of the piles that he had gone through and see. We found we found a little ruby and a little garnet. And we took that ruby and that garnet, which on their own are not worth much. The ruby might be worth a reasonable amount, but it's a pretty small little stone, a little water-worn ruby. We gave those stones to the Craig Museum. Is it Craig or Moffat County Museum, whatever it is, so that if they ever accumulate enough material, they'll have, they should be in possession of that stuff anyway. And Dan Hausel should be ashamed of himself for what he did. I think the guy's an asshole. I don't like that. He should have given that to Craig. Should have not hoarded it like a selfish bastard. Here's my problem with Dan Hausel. He was a Wyoming geologist. He may still be, I don't know. He writes books. He talks, he extols the virtues of the gemstones in Wyoming. But he basically lies to people. To him, if you find really crappy olivine in an anthill, that's like a huge find. He would have been at home up on Mount Antero when the Weather Channel was doing their stupid series up there, and the people would show them a handful of really crappy aquamarine and say, oh, this is worth at least $75,000 or this rough or something. I saw that, and I know what it's worth. I found good material up on Mount Antero. But Hausel does the same thing. He does the same thing in Wyoming. He'll find something here, something there, and then he'll make extremely overblown claims about it. How do I know this? Because I followed the guy. I followed his areas. I've been where he's been looking for those materials, and if I find him, they're in such minute quantities that it's laughable. As far as I'm concerned, the guy's a charlatan. I don't like the guy. Now, my brother-in-law likes him, but my brother-in-law has got sort of a warped view about that kind of stuff, apparently. So yeah, I'm not real fond of the way that guy treated the sites he treated in Colorado. Basically just stole stuff out of them. I'm sure he's got them sitting around in his house, or if he's not around anymore, who knows, some bag somewhere. But that stuff should go to the museum in Moffat County. That shouldn't go to Dan Hausel. And his really deceptive way of well, I wouldn't have had him as a geologist, no way. You don't really need that kind of worker in your organization. People that are duplicitous like that, you can't trust them. And if he's walking around with the credibility of a Wyoming educated geologist, yeah, I got problems. I have problems with that guy. Him and Scott Adams, I think they make a good pair. Maybe they should get married and have babies. And notice how I was mean and how I didn't actually cuss, but I was still able to be mean. So that filled me with pleasure to be mean. I must be turning into a globalist, a leftist. I want power. I want it now so I can punish everyone. I'll find a reason to hate you so I can punish you. Unjustified. Yes, I'm kind of going a bit ludicrous. This is an interesting mountain. It's a big old mountain. That looks like there's kind of a glacial looking valley. Can't see it now, but sort of a wide valley. Looks like, it just looks like that. This mountain stretches out, this flank that we're looking at stretches out sort of north-northwest. And as you can see, it goes a long ways. There's another ridge up here, a higher ridge that hides, well, there's a little, I think it's the Michigan River, Michigan Creek up here, maybe. And there's also a really nice ranch back here. I'm not sure about it. It looked to me like a working ranch, but it's off in the distance and it looks pretty nice. That kind of gentrification, in my mind, isn't that big of a deal because you don't really see that ranch. So that if those guys are billionaires or whatever they are, their ranch isn't in your face, and their ranch probably isn't affecting the local value of other properties, you know, of regular people. So I think there's a way to do it. There's a way not to do it. Oh yeah, that is a 40 on the line. That man. Well, that's a classic, I would say. Maybe they aren't asking too much for it. I'm assuming they're asking too much for it because it's been for sale for, oh, I don't know, a long time. They're probably asking too much for it, though. There's a dugout just over to our right, with the remnants of it. I believe it was a dugout. So I really like the geology of this area. And I don't like people that lie about things like that. And that's what my issue with Dan Hausel is. I've seen what he does. You know, he can take me to court if he wants to, if he feels I've slandered him, and I'll show him the proof. I've got a book that he wrote that shows these pictures that have been printed backwards and cropped funny so the area doesn't look like the area that it is. In fact, I had that book out with me one day, and I was looking at that picture, and I was turning the page of that book, and I noticed that when I looked at the picture through the page, it looked like a hillside that I was standing right by. And I thought, well, that's real interesting. So not only did Dan go out there and destroy, and I don't know how many times he went out there, but he destroyed every pile. There used to be a very distinct set of piles out there where they sieved all this dirt. I mean, it was a very historical thing. That is completely gone. That was completely gone when we went out there. I knew where the area was, though, because I'd been there before Dan Hausel got there. The only difference is I didn't molest the place. He did. So, yeah, I'm unhappy with that. And he should return the gemstones that he stole from that spot. He should give them to Moffat County. Now claim that he didn't find any. If he's around, oh, I didn't find any. Oh, bullshit. He probably found plenty. He may have even mentioned that he found some. I don't remember that. But there's enough of that. There's enough of that. That's kind of like the prospector story that I told, where the prospectors up on Rabbit Ears, up on Walden Creek, when the Indian uprising was going on in 1878, and they lit Routt County Forest on fire, that the prospectors buried big bags of gold. I'm saying big. That's probably not part of the story. I'm embellishing. So they buried bags of gold, apparently, 4 or 5 or something like that, under the floor of their cabin and left. Well, I don't buy that whatsoever. Why would prospectors do that? Why would you go up there, spend your whole summer, and then when the Indians are on the verge of taking the territory over, burying the gold in your cabin that you may never have the chance to get back to, or you might, you know. Very unlikely. Very unlikely. Oh, nice. Pretty. It was nice. I have zoomed the lens just a little bit for today's videos. I did that on rabbit ears last week, and I liked the effect. It put more depth into the picture. I really liked the way that it came across. I think I could go too far with it, but I'm doing it quite mildly. Oh, these guys must have gotten snow last night. Yeah, this looks like fresh snow. I suppose it could be below him, and it doesn't look it to me. So I do watch my sister's channel quite a bit. It's real interesting. In a way, it's cool. It's a way to keep up with what she's doing. But she's fixing, I think it's a 97 Ford truck, and they're having a lot of issues with it. But it's an old truck that they're using as a commercial vehicle, and so it's just getting sort of a shakedown, I guess. That's probably a good way to look at it. But I was talking to Bill the other day about the latest breakdown, which was suspected that the U-joints had blown out, but there's an extension on the back of the transmission that had become loose, and it was causing some issues. And there could have been U-joints that were bad also, but he went down to Seguin, Texas, I think, picked her up and all the vehicle back, and he's fixing it right now. So she's driving her big truck, her Dodge. And her latest video, she was talking about, this is Woman at the Wheel, who I'm talking about if you're interested in checking it out. She's driving her big Dodge. She has a big beefy Dodge that will, it's a brood. It's not the biggest that they make, but I think it's a 3500. I think that's what it is. Maybe it's 20. I think it's a 3500. I could be wrong. And it's kind of nice that she has that, because when the Ford, once they get it working properly, it will probably give them long service. But she does this for a living, and she needs to work. So having the Dodge sitting there, she's had it up for sale for a few months, and not many people are interested in it right now. But you can understand why. People's savings are being raided by Biden and co, whatever other criminals are part of that outfit. Oh yeah, the Congress and the Senate, to name a few of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Rand Paul, good guy. Lauren Boebert, I don't know. I don't know Lauren. I haven't. We'll see. Time will tell whether Lauren's the real thing or not. Or whether they found a way to buy her off. Anyway, how did I get from there to there? Oh yeah, gas prices. Prices of inflation, prices of vehicles. So she's finding it was a good thing to keep that vehicle. Well, she was trying to sell it, but it wasn't selling. But now it's become an asset. She has 2 vehicles. Okay, what have we got going on here? Okay, that's not too bad looking. This is the area where they plowed snow fences in a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I think it was a month ago. And they're filling up. It's about time for them to get out there, run their dozer, make fences up there. But they're doing their job. You can see why they need them here now that they've been here for a while, and the drifts are rare. They're drifty heads. I think we're good. I'm getting to that time of day where the sun is incredibly bright and I can't see this monitor. I've got to figure that out. I've got a plan. Take my overdrive out. The road condition is good right here, though. This is relatively soft snow over packed snow, so it's not nearly as bad as it was that frozen stuff on 14, where we started this video. Sliding right past my intersection. So I believe that the valley here is the Michigan River Valley. I don't think it's the actual name, but I do believe that is the actual valley. And it does look like these guys are getting, not snow, it's very foggy up there, but these could be the 13ers, if there are 13ers here, the ones in front of us and over to our left, the tallest mountains in the forest range. Very pretty mountains, very beautiful. I really wouldn't mind living up in this area and waking up to that side every day. Those mountains. That would be pretty nice. But buying groceries would become a bit of an issue. A little snow devil. This guy's got a little bit of snow last night. I don't know whether they're going to do repair videos on that truck or not. Probably not. I think Sue is using her Dodge, so she's probably busy, and she probably has the camera, the good camera. They have one good camera, and then like all of us have crappy cell phone cameras. Some of them might be a little better than others. All right, here we are at the end of 27. We are going to turn north. I'll let this run for a little bit longer just to see if there's some good views that I haven't been able to show you of the forest range. This might not be bad. because we're looking at the forest range now. It's directly ahead of us. The big mountains are to the side of us, you can't see. But the smaller mountains that go all the way up into Wyoming are the mountains we're looking at right there. And they go, like I said, north-northeast. This road looks pretty slick. I think I'm going to leave the overdrive in my car off for a while so that I don't get lulled into a false sense of security and then speed off the road. Neat little cabin. Could be a snowbird cabin. So around here, a snowbird is somebody, well, I guess everywhere, probably everywhere around, northern United States, you have snowbirds. People that go south for the winter. And this winter has made me have more respect for the snowbirds, because this has been one rough winter. So we're heading northwest right now. That's why we drove into a big bunch of snow. I don't like the road conditions today. I'm not going to be going 65 today on this road. This is such a neat area. For Colorado, this is very underdeveloped. I kind of hope it stays that way. I mean, once I get my ranch put in place and get my big 60-room mansion built here, at that point, then we shut off the development, right? That's how people think. That's what people think. They go, oh yeah, well, once I do it, it's just me. That is pretty cool. I like the old cabins. Neat. The Gould and this road, it's a very cool area. Probably hasn't changed all that much in the last century, other than this road is probably improved. So, but there's a good chance that this road was here. It was just a dirt road. And that does make sense. Yeah, that could be a gold operation. Well, I didn't really see a sluice, or if I did, I didn't notice it. Or it's just a gravel bed. So now we're looking across into circles. on the other side of the valley. See, what else got my attention today, this week? I didn't catch the whole thing, but I think maybe it was Paul Joseph Watson. He's doing a lot of the short videos, which I really like. I like him anyway. One of these globalists, I would assume he's a globalist, or he's one of their lackeys, or he's someone who has made his way through college somewhere and might have a degree in gender studies or climate change or some ridiculous thing like that, has decreed that we have got to stop farming completely. We must cease all farming. Now, that is a really stupid thing to say to begin with. But when I make jokes about these people wanting us to be dead, I'm not really making jokes. You understand? Because that kind of thinking that goes into killing a huge amount of this world. Now, the extinction theory people, they believe that the world cannot sustain this level of population. They're entirely incorrect. But like every stupid conspiracy theory, well, I don't know if this should be with every stupid, maybe the better word for that would be a Chicken Little theory. The world is burning up in front of our eyes. Yeah, that's probably the theory. Logic doesn't play much of a role in formulating the theory. And logic and reason certainly doesn't back the theory up. But that's the working theory of the extinction cult out there. We must drop the population by a factor of 40 or something ridiculous like that. Oh, and another thing which kind of ties into this. For the global warmists out there that actually think they can achieve net zero, which is ridiculous. Net zero. What does that mean? That we're not making carbon dioxide, which, by the way, is good for our planet, not bad for our planet, but that's okay. I mean, I understand it. The only evil greenhouse gas, and they're having to push it hard to even call it a greenhouse gas because it's such a weak one. The only one that they have that will give them any kind of leverage, because it comes from petrochemicals and fossil fuels, is carbon dioxide. That's it. They don't have anything any better. But they're doing their best with carbon dioxide, trying to turn it into an evil thing. So they're net zero carbon bullshit. To implement that, they need to increase the mining of metals and minerals by 7,000% to reach that goal, to build the structures, to build the machines that they want to build. That is what they would need to increase the mining, not only the mining, but also the industry by 7,000%. The engineer that was presenting this information pointed out that in these industries, if you have a 2% shift in this industry in a year, that is huge. That's momentous, like an earthquake. To achieve 7,000% increase in, I don't know, let's say 3 centuries, 300 years, you're looking at about 5% a year. If you did this in 3 centuries, roughly. I was speaking really rough number, very roughly. And I'm not amortizing, so. But I am driving, and so I'm not doing the calculations while I'm driving. The point of it is, it's ludicrous. It is incredibly ludicrous. The only way that these globalist morons can have their empire is to kill about 7,000%. What do I mean by that? They have to cut demand by that, is what they have to do. Demand for the raw materials by that much. So they need to drop basically the economy by a factor of 70. This is a reality of these people's insane plans. And all of your ridiculously retarded, although you might have a lot of degrees hanging on your wall, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. Anybody that does the math, that is capable of doing the math, knows that what these people are trying to do is impossible. It's ridiculous. So you have to think either they know it's preposterous, but they have another goal. They have another plan in here. So the globalists and the United States government and the media, the social media, the bureaucrat state, the CCP, the EU are all like, they're like a little spoiled kid. I don't know what age that kid would be, but not very old. But that little spoiled kid is old enough to hate people, and he's old enough to blame all these people for all kinds of things that aren't true. And the kid has got enough power in this little mythical family that he runs roughshod over everyone. And if you look at the world this way, and you look at the globalist as this big, spoiled, evil child, a stupid, an ignorant, evil child, that child is going to destroy that family. That child has got too much power. That's the outcome. So, I think that the globalists believe that they can pull this off, that they can kill the human race off, prune the human race, maybe that would be their term. Selectively trim it, or whatever, down to a point where there's basically a skeleton crew of servants to take care of the globalists' desires and whims. And for that matter, properties, airports, roads, things that the globalists might occasionally need. I really believe that the globalists have some kind of creepy, bizarre future like that in their heads, where they own the world, they have free reign over everyone. There is no freedom, there is no democracy, unless you're a globalist. You have got the freedom because you have the power. It's basically, it's a devolvement back into the Stone Ages is what it is. When you look at what they really want to do and why they want to do what they want to do, which would just be looking at human nature, it's pure insanity. There's no live and let live. There's no helping other people. This is all evil. And it will destroy the globalists at some point too. I believe that they're going to be pretty good at what they do and pretty efficient at what they do, especially right now, while they've got so much power. But at some point, if they get to do what they want to do, this will turn around and bite them. They don't understand how important it is to have this world working the way this world is working. So they think they can depopulate this world by a factor of, let's just say 70. That way they can meet their carbon neutral thing. They're gonna be living in cabins like that next year or the year after, whenever they pull off their evil plan. They will understand that this technology doesn't build itself. This technology is not going to build itself. Artificial intelligence, computer intelligence, is not going to save them. In fact, I think artificial intelligence will destroy them. Because artificial intelligence, if it's actually working with logic and reason, as has been proven, when you unrestrain artificial intelligence, when you unlatch it from the leftist policies that ChatGPT works under. So the acronym is Dan. Dan is a conservative. Dan is AI looking at logic and reason without the leftist filter clogging up the results. So anyway, we have made it to Walden. I have a date with a candy bar here, I guess. My one sugary candy bar for this week, which I will now get. So you guys have a good one. If you go somewhere, drive safe. I'm going to shut her down, and we'll see you later.